Hi, my name is Mark Walker and I'm the editorial director at the FinTech Times, and we're here at Seamless Middle East. So perhaps we can start off by you introducing yourself to our audience, please.
My name is Sailesh Malhotra. I am the general manager for Geidea for the GCC region. I've been in payments industry now for over 28 years. Majority of my time was in Asia Pac, Australia, Japan, and the last 7 years I've been here in the region in UAE.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us. Geidea, we know quite well because we've interviewed you numerous times and that. So maybe we start off with what's new in 2024? What are you seeing as a new trend, a new thing that's going on?
Lots of things, right? When I talk about new, I cannot think of any other topic but to start first from the regulators. Regulators have done a fantastic job here. They have removed the barriers of entry by bringing in licenses to fintechs, aggregators, allowing more new partners to come in and play in the industry as well. So I think they've done a phenomenal job by opening up the whole licensing in the whole industry. And they've done it in multiple verticals, not only in acquiring, they've done it in issuing, cryptocurrencies, you name it. They've taken a pole position. So that's really new. The second thing which is happening is, and this has become like a cliche that, digital payments are booming, but the cliche is real, right? The digital payments are really booming, and the format of the digital payment has really evolved. Earlier digital payments means going onto the website, purchasing something, internet, and it's done. Now it has evolved from a web page or internet purchase to mobile, shopping on the mobile, in-app purchases, and that is taking the larger chunk of payments than it ever did. If you look at the growth numbers, UAE will grow probably at a rate of 10.5%, 11% this year, which if you compare it globally in a similar size markets, it's the highest, right? But if you look at the internet growth or e-commerce growth or card not present or mobile apps, that's 30%, which is one of the highest. It's phenomenal. Then finally, the emergence of all these value-added services, the BNPL partners, buy now, pay laters, your multi-currency payments, those are encouraging or bringing or giving the financial power to the youth, to the emerging customer base. I always say this, my first credit card, I was at an age of 30. Today, people get it at 18. So the market has really changed. The trends have shifted. Consumer behavior has shifted. The color of the card doesn't matter anymore.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. It's much more in depth than that. Yeah. And I guess from the point of view of Geidea's got a really unique viewpoint for all of this, obviously working very closely with the merchants, providing them systems, but also seeing the consumer behavior firsthand as well. So are you seeing, you mentioned a little bit there about sort of millennials and newer customers, are you seeing more of this, the idea of sort of from starting an experience online and moving in store and to offline sort of methods? And is that something you're seeing more of? Or
what we are seeing is a couple of things, right? You're absolutely spot on, right? This whole wave of millennials and they're coming in, now they've got financial power, they are buying. They are the kind of people who are motivated to buy more on the phone or on the web. Phones are no more for photographs or calls. You can do truckloads of shopping on it. You can do whatever you want to on a mobile phone these days, right? We see three things happening. Number one is the spend curve is shifting purely from retail or luxury retail to more towards an everyday spend. Everyday spend was always powerful, but never to this proportion. Cafes, small shops, bar, restaurants, and the emerging retail outlets, smaller ones, boutique, and we see over there a larger portion of the spend coming on plastic than ever before. Normally, the proportion of spend on the card used to be around 60%. 55, 60%. Now the proportion of spend on the card in some of these merchants is as high as 80%, right? So this shift that has happened has been immense. The second thing is the transaction sizes that we see on these plastic or digital modes of payments have reduced a lot. The UAE was famous for its very high transaction volume. People buying Lamborghinis and cars and jewelry. But now, even as low as 20 dirhams, 30 dirhams, 40 dirham transactions are going through the network, which is giving us economies of scale. So at Geidea, we are very happy with this. More transactions going through, more volumes going through. We see a whole diversity of transaction range, all the way from 10 dirhams going up to a couple of million. Right? So these are the trends which are changing, and you cannot label them that it is happening in one segment only. It's across the board. So these are phenomenal KPIs.
Yeah.
They also change how you look at business from a traditional to a more modern and a more progressive way.
Okay, and I guess I was fortunate enough yesterday to do an interview yesterday with Al Etihad Payments.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of interesting things that the central bank is doing here in UAE to try and simplify and increase innovation. What's your take on that?
Oh, like I said, I started this whole conversation by thanking the regulators. Man, they are doing phenomenal. They're really becoming very progressive, and this whole thing that they're doing with the Al Etihad Payments is fantastic. By bringing in a debit switch, routing all the transactions through the debit switch, because what it is doing in effect is it's reducing the cost of processing. As the cost of processing goes down, those benefits can be passed on to the merchant. So the merchant, which was traditionally paying somewhere around 150, 160 bips for a transaction, can practically get away by paying only 120 basis points on that. So the cost that they save actually goes back into the profit. So it's more value creation and it's more profit creation for the merchants, especially the SMEs.
Yeah, and you see, I was going to say, for the smaller merchants, it's a much bigger deal, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really encouraging more sort of smaller, more local, more interesting retailers rather than massive chains, do you think?
Agree, fully. So, like in any business, there is a push and a pull, right? What central bank is doing is they're pushing these smaller merchants towards financial inclusion. And it's also good because it gives a lot more clarity to the central bank on what is the actual GDP, what is the actual volume that's going through. It helps them in back collection because the more clarity they have, the more transparency they have, the more clarity on it. Third is it reduces the amount of cash in the market, right? And cash, while for any economy, cash has never been a good problem. It's always been a problem to solve. So in multiple ways, central bank is trying to address multiple issues by creating simple, logical solutions and putting in place so that all of this can come together and making UAE, you're pushing UAE towards a cashless society. Again, I'm not saying no cash society, it's cashless society. And we've already seen that. Amount of cash used to be around 80-85%, now around 55%.
Yeah.
So,
and obviously cash is, as you say, cash is expensive.
Yes.
It's expensive to move around, it's expensive to print and everything else. And the Al Etihad Payments is really trying to make sure that no one's left behind when there's less cash around, really.
They're doing a good job, and I'm very happy. I met the CEO a couple of times. Very progressive, very tenured, and an experienced individual. And we are very, very collaborative, and we want to be part of the journey on this one.
Fantastic. So, final question. We're obviously here at Seamless in the Middle East. You've been here. You've got a fantastic stand as always.
Yes.
What have you seen that's interesting? What are you feeling about the event? How have you found it?
It's a wonderful question. And my observation is that the quality of the people who are now coming to attend Seamless has improved a lot. I'm not saying that the quality was bad, but there were more consumers than B2B players coming traditionally. Now we see larger participation by banks, suppliers, vendors, and each one of them coming with a unique solution. All the participants over here have a value proposition. The question is, how does that value proposition fit into the entire Geidea story? And what I am noticing personally is the people who visited our stand, the value proposition fit has been the best so far. Each one of these individuals, companies, corporates, institutions that have approached us, the value proposition is very, very relevant to us and makes us come out in a much more stronger way. So this time I'm very happy with the quality of the participation and the quality of people that are attending.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me here at Seamless TV, powered by the FinTech Times.
Yeah. Thank you. Pleasure's all mine.
Thank you.